Hello? Does this thing even work anymore? Well, there's no video for a start. Hang on. Hello, lovely humans. I am Georgie, aka Crafty Rogue Gamer, and welcome to my channel. A very warm welcome if you've visited me before, or if it's your first time watching. If you've been here before, it's been two and a half years, people. 2.5 years, quite shameful, since my last video. So if you've stuck with me for that long and keep coming back for whatever this is, thank you very much. But if you're new here, hi, welcome. So for those of you who are here for the stitching, we have stitching. We've got a bit of catching up to do. Although, considering how long it's been, possibly not as much as I should be. However, I thought I would do a little introduction again because it's been a while. Then we can have a look at what I've stitched, or not, since the last Flosstube. And we'll talk about plans. I have no plans. It's taken me long to do this, but what we'll humour the list that we all go through for Flosstube. So yeah, we'll talk about some plans. I've got a little bit of haul, a little bit of acquisitions from Big Stitch, which is a stitching event in the UK, which happened recently. I've also got a giveaway. I got something there that I thought was cool, and I thought other people might think it was cool, so I got a second one, as you do, and I got it to give away because that also forces me into doing a Flosstube, and a second Flosstube because I have to announce a winner. So there we go. So it gave me a bit of a push anyway, as did a few people and a lot of other things. So anyway, there will also be some shout outs, just a couple little shout outs, and then if you're here for the tea, then you can absolutely have it. You can find out some of the things that have happened which have kept me away from stitching and Flosstube for a little while. So I was considering doing a section called 2-Minute Trauma, which was kind of like a light-hearted skim through some of the stuff that's happened, or some of it's not really light-hearted, but anyway, we'll work it out. Life stuff goes on at the end because some folks don't want to stay for that. Some folks don't want to stay for like purchases and things like that either. I'm not going to drag out everything I've bought over the last 2.5 years, although from a stitching point of view, it's not that much, to be honest. But anyway. Firstly, if you are new around these parts, or just a reminder for those who will hear the last time, I normally use song names or lyrics or something like that in the video title, just loosely related to the stuff in the Flosstube or life or whatever's going on. No reason other than I can't really think of anything else to name the Flosstubes. So today's video is brought to you by the Natasha Bedingfield banger Unwritten. I feel it's somewhat fitting. It's uplifting, it's motivational, it's hopeful, it's an amazing sing-along tune in the car. I'm also melting, and I would love to feel the rain on my skin right about now because it is so hot. It is so hot in here, and I've got the light that's like the sun that JC makes me put on to film the videos, and I'm glowing. You can't tell, but there's it's hot. So yes, a bit of housekeeping anyway. I've shut myself in the office today. If you can hear banging and a cat yelling, I'll explain that in a bit. If you see anything on the screen, that's my lovely other half, JC, who very kindly edits my videos and is also is the creative director. I think he named himself. He's the one that makes me put the big light on. So I think he thought he'd retired from this. No such luck. You love it, really, don't you? Anyway, everything is time-stamped in the description of the video if you want to skip any bits of it. So grab a drink, put your feet up, grab your stitching, and let's begin. Just for the record, you have no idea how long it took just to film that part. So right, I was going to have a look at redoing my introduction. Now, I thought for a laugh we could have a look at my introduction from Flosstube 1 and we could see how relevant it is today. Flosstube 1 was in March 2021. So I went back and I watched it and I read my notes, and it's kind of reaction video worthy in its own right, especially with gems, and I quote, such as, "I will not overshare in my first video. I did, and I always do. I was thinking I'd do this every 2 weeks or so, fibro dependent, and then the alternate week I'd slot in anything gaming wise and talk about that. No. So we're going to put a pin in that idea and come back to it a different day, because that might be hilarious in its own right. But it did make me think, like, kind of 5 years later now, how would I introduce myself coming back to Flosstube? And let's face it, that's essentially what I'm doing, innit? So yeah, let's do it. If you're a returning viewer, feel free to chip in the comments if you think I'm missing anything or you want to add anything. Like, go for it, crack on. You've been here before. You deserve the right of to contribute towards my introduction. However, if you're new here and you want to get an idea of what you're in for, so you can decide if you want to stick around or not, I am Crafty Rogue Gamer. I am Georgie. I am from Yorkshire in England, in the UK. I have been stitching, embroidering and crafting since I was a kid. My mum taught me absolutely loads, but I am self-taught with some things too. There's no knitting or crochet going on here, purely because that's witchcraft and my brain and my hands do not coordinate in that way at all. I stopped stitching and being crafty or creative for a very, very long time, well over a decade. But then I kind of had a personal cross-stitch renaissance, and when I got together with my lovely creative director, I wanted to do something, like kind of make something nice for him, and I discovered everything in cross-stitch land had changed. We had so much cooler things to cross-stitch. We had digital patterns, we had stuff that I actually wanted to do and I loved how it looked, not just stuff that was there in kits and I did it because I enjoyed the process, not the actual end result as much. So yeah, there was all this new cool stuff. It was, some of it was even related to some of my other hobbies, and I was like, yeah, game on, you know, absolutely. And I kind of fell back in love with the hobby again. In terms of me personally, my body is basically falling to bits. I am fairly energy limited, with most of it going into work and JC's business. I have fibromyalgia and ME, which mainly impacts my feet and legs, but also my energy and my hands, which in turn then impacts my stitching and other things as well. So I've got some stuff going on my eyes too, and that impacts my vision, and that's also got a knock-on effect. You can kind of see where we're going here. I'm a fairly inconsistent stitcher. However, I'm here, I stitch, I do the best I can, and I really enjoy the projects that I work on, as I think we all do. We all say we love the projects that we work on, don't we? But I really do try to genuinely pick the stuff to work on that I do love. That doesn't stop me buying other things. But that's by the by. We're fairly PG here, because work, and I know little ears can be listening at your end. If we ever meet in real life, I am not PG at all. Not that there's anything wrong with that if you are, but just personally, I'm not. So I know a little bit more than I did when I first started backstitching. Get it? Backstitching. So off the top of my head, I love patterns by designers, and this doesn't include everyone, and like, this is just literally off the top of my head I wrote this list. So Lola Crow, Witchy Stitcher, Bad Stitch, Ink Circles, Sprouting Lupine, Glendon Place, Quaternion Creations, Stitch Crypt, Steady Thread, Trunky Stitchers, Patchy at Besco, and also patterns by my lovely Stitchy Coven friends who do some absolutely amazing designs. So that's a small little shout out to Wild Dragon Crafts, or Wild Dragon Stitching. She's, stop, change your name, Jen. And Mad Morty, who has Hair Moon Crafts. Now, I like modern cross stitch, but I will do more traditional things on occasion. Again, essentially, if I love it, I'll stitch it, or I'll stitch part of it at least anyway. Size doesn't matter here, folks. I have not finished any massive projects in a while, but I will essentially stitch anything between little card size pieces and massive quilt size things. So yeah, I'm down for stitching any size piece. I collect patterns. That is a different hobby. I prefer digital patterns, but I will stitch paper patterns, and I like having them because having the paper patterns reminds me it exists. I collect fabric, see above, different hobby. Stitching on this channel is mainly cross stitch, but I do love black work and embroidery and also learning new things. My sweet spot for cross stitching is 18 count 2/1, but I also like 28 count 1/1 and anything sort of 30 to 40 count 2/2. So that's kind of like my sweet spots, but you'll 18 2/1 is pretty much what you'll see here. I'm fairly monogamous at the moment. We'll come back to that later. I do track my stitches and work, and I kind of love stitching stats and things like that, even though I'm really inconsistent and basically stitching stats for a large part of the 2.5 years has been nothing. I love the idea of games like cross-stitch games and stitching games and seeing what everyone does and how they pick what to work on, but I'm not consistent enough to do them myself, so I don't do anything like that, but I love seeing what other people come up with, because I think some of the stuff is absolutely fab. Project wise, I'm down for most things spooky, gothy, not skulls, Halloween, fantasy, dragons, dinosaurs, gaming, TV, film, animals, space, realistic stuff, not realistic stuff, unusual and weird stuff. If I like it, I'll stitch it, but hopefully that gives you kind of a bit of a taste. I'm also well and truly out of the game for who to watch and what to buy, and if you want to enable me, go ahead. I recently found Jed X Stitch, and I think I'm gonna be in trouble there. And finally, why crafty rogue gamer? I'm somewhat crafty. I love video games, especially RPGs, and when I play them, I always roll a rogue. So crafty rogue gamer, that is me. Right, stitching. Sorry, I'm laughing because you got no idea how out of practice I am. Right, okay. Right, sitting up straight. Stitching. Apparently that's what we're here for on Flosstube. Now, the plan is we're going to go in chronological order, and some of this is approximate, even though I like tracking my stitches and I enjoy that kind of thing. It got a bit squiffy there for a little while. So a lot of photo scrolling and confused faces were contributed to the making of this Flosstube. I'm aware I only have myself to blame for this. But yeah, Now, when I first started my notes, I did put there were only a few finishers and there were no FFOs. And there are fully finished objects, and that was a surprise to me because I'd completely forgotten what I'd done. And it's purely accidental. We don't normally fully finish things around here, folks. If you've been in it before, you know you know that's not a thing. The projects that I finish, if I finish, go into the folder of doom, to live out their days in darkness and acid free storage. So it might look like there's a lot, but you kind of got to remember the criteria of how long it's been. Oh, this is so bad. Right, okay. Right, come on, we can do this. Right, yes. So I'm going to start off with two projects that I pulled from my notes last time from the last Flosstube, and I completely forgot about them. I forgot about half of this stuff that I did. My memory's trash as well. It's part of my whole thing that I've got going on. So yeah, I found these and I was like, oh my god, I love these. But I completely forgotten about them because if it's not out and it's done, I forget about it. That's just how things are. But these are two lovely projects that I showed in my last Flosstube, but I figured since that was quite a while ago, you might have forgotten about them too, if you've been here before and have just seen the dates on this, and this is appalling. Right, okay. Now, the first one that we're going to show is Circus, and this is by Urban Stitchers, the designer, and it's I started this on the 1st of January 2024 and I finished it on the 14th of January 2024. And I love the fabric. The fabric is a gorgeous grey called Elephant Run by Fox and Rabbit Designs. It was leftover fabric from the Lola Crow Christmas stitch along. it's definitely leftover piece. But the colour really kind of suited this design. And this is a phrase, I mean, it says, "Be they not yours, neither the circus nor the monkeys." And we possibly say more often than we should, not my circus, not my monkeys at work. So it absolutely had to be stitched. I think I wrote the struggle bus for the yellow a little bit. As I've said, I love the fabric. It's 16 count, so I kind of don't love the finish. I mean, I love the finish, but the finish on the fabric, I can see the gaps. The 16 count is not my jam, and like over 2 on 16 count just isn't. And there was a lot of kind of like stitching over. I pulled it out and I was like, oh yeah. I sort of, yeah, I made it less gappy. However, it's beautiful, and I thought at the time when I was stitching it, I kind of was having a bit of muscle memory going on, because I was kind of making my own holes in the fabric. Now, I thought it was like I was normally stitching on 18 count, so I was just like slightly off and all that kind of jazz. But it might have been a bit of like kind of foreshadowing, because I did have a significant vision deterioration episode not too long after this, so maybe I just missed some warning signs there reading back. However, this is using the call for DMC. It is, I think I said 2/1. The stitched area is 154 wide by 104 high. It's got 5,187 stitches, and the size is 9.5 by 6.5 inches, which, if you're in centimetres, that is 24 by 17 centimetres finished size. I think I've said designer, Urban Stitches. If I haven't, then I have now. And I love the Urban Stitches stuff. This is quite different to a lot of the things that are out there by Urban Stitches, but it's all fantastic. So absolutely check them out. The links to all of the projects are going to be in the description. I can't remember if I said this at the beginning, but what I do is put like bit.ly links, so you'll be able to click on hyperlink and you get to that page, or as close as I can get you to it, for the actual product itself. Don't know if I've got anything else to say about that. Nah. Nope. Okay, so we've gone back in time there a little bit. Woo! Like, sort of like, I don't know, JC, can you put some effects in or something, or not? Because he's not going to. He's not going to humour me. Right. Next. I need to find somewhere to put these. Where can I put you? You go there. Okay. Mothman Stitch Along is my next thing. Now, if you don't know the story from last time, Mothman is possibly... I want to say Mothman's my favourite cryptid. However, in reality, I have a top 3. So it's definitely Mothman, Loch Ness Monster, and Bigfoot, top 3, just in case you were wondering. If you weren't, that's you're possibly not in the right channel here. I was doing really well with this up until the final release, and the final release for me personally was a bit of an anticlimax. I thought I didn't really like how it, not like how it looked, because it looked how the designer meant it to look, but for me it wasn't really gelling. So what I did was I disregarded the final release, so my project is slightly smaller than the actual fully finished product by the designer. And also, Mothman didn't quite look like how I thought Mothman looked, if Mothman looked like a thing and was real. We suspend reality on these things. I love conspiracy theories, I love cryptids and all that kind of thing. So we suspend reality here, okay? So when I did this, I also did a little conversion, and I'm trying to fold it up and it's not going to work. So this is the Mothman Stitch Along, and this Mothman fella, he was kind of, it looks different if you look at the original design. So the designer is Wolfpack Creation. They have some fab designs. I think they just started a 13 Ghost Stitch Along, I want to say, but I can't. I could, but I can't. So down at the bottom, here we go. There are, on the pattern release, sort of like men in black and cars and things like that, and I was like, no, it looks really good as it is. Like, I want to stop. It looks really cool. But Mothman I've done in more of a kind of a grey palette. I've also extended the wings a bit. I've converted his body a little bit because he just didn't kind of look like my Mothman in my head. And he does look a lot better now. I kind of impressed myself there, with the conversion that I did. But the original designs by Wolfpack Creation is absolutely, it's brill. It's fantastic. It just wasn't my Mothman. I started this. Did I start that? Apparently I started this on the 26th of December 2021. I finished this on the 21st of January 2024. It's got different aspects of the Mothman story, Mothman legend. If you're not familiar, Mothman was like seen as kind of a harbinger of doom. In Point Pleasant, there was a disaster with the bridge, and he sort of like foreshadowed this. Sort of like was kind of allegedly visiting people, and the phone is because like the phone would ring and there would be no one there, or like kind of whisper. It's all kind of part of the Mothman legend. So yeah, it's a really cool design. Wolfpack Creations does some lovely alternative stuff. It was a Sal, and the release, I've just got the release schedule on here that I can see now. I've like just scrolled up a bit. Yeah, I did start it in 2021. So the release schedule was the 16th of November 2021, and it was monthly, and it finished on the 16th of May 2022. And then I finished it like 2 years later. It's 18 count grey clouds now it was by Claire Brown X Stitch, the fabric, and it's one of my favourite fabrics, and then it got Claire Brown X Stitch stopped trading, and I'm very upset still about this because this is not like one of my favourite fabrics ever, and if I can find it again I'll be very happy about that. Threads DMC called for, but I did my own grey conversion. I stitched it 2/1. I'm going to stop holding it up now because I need to scroll again. Stitch count is 149 wide by 189 high. The technical size is like the size it should actually be is 8.25 by 10.5 inches, which is 21 by 26 centimeters. The actual size is about 8 by 8 thereabouts, about 21 by 21 centimeters, something like that. So yeah, here we go. I do love it. I love my little Mothman. I do have a soft spot for the cryptids. So there we go. So those are the two things that you will have seen on the last Flosstube, if you happened across the last Flosstube, or you were here a little while ago. Just a smidge. Now, at that point in time then, back in March 2021, my works in progress, sorry JC, he hates whips, he hates the abbreviation whips, and we're going to say it, I'm going to say it because he doesn't like it, but yeah, my whips were Crystallized Stitch Along and Odyssey Stitch Along, and I was kind of working on those around the same time. They're a bit intertwined, it all gets a bit squiffy, but we're going to start with Crystallized Stitch Along first. But first I'm going to pause, I'm going to make sure that all kind of looks okay, and also I'm going to get a drink, and I'm going to like get a fan or something because it's really warm. Give me 2 ticks. Okay, Crystallized Stitch Along. So I've got a judgy bag of stuff near my stitching spot downstairs, and I keep adding things into it, and then they sit there and they judge me, because I should be working on them, and there are many things in the judgy bag, and I could have been working on them after I finished the Mothman Stitch Along, and I went into the bag and I pulled one out. Now, my rationale for it being the Crystallized Stitch Along was my mum collects crystals, and it was her birthday in the April, so I thought I can totally get that done by then. and also from a volume point of view, it's got a decent amount of colours, but I could also clear it out of the bag in that sense, and free some of those threads up, and make a bit of space in the bag too for something else to go in. And I'd also seen other people finish it, and it looked amazing, and it kind of gave me that kick to sort of like work on it. Now, last time you saw it, it looked like this, and JC's going to do some things there. It looked like this, and in that Flosstube when you saw it, I think it was at 13.64%, which was 2,867 stitches done out of about 21,000. So we had a ways to go. However, now I am at 21,016 stitches done, which means it's a finish. Now, it is not just a finish, it is a fully finished object that I've stolen from my mum's house. Right, check this out. Hang on. Hang on. 2 minutes. Okay. Right. So, I need to make sure I can get all this in. There we go. Right, so that'll do. I've finished it. Leaning around it. I finished it with days to spare. I finished it on the 10th of April 2024. So we're still in 2024. Hang on, let me just turn my mic, else JC will shout at me. I was at a retreat and I was just about to complete it, and the lovely Lisa from Atelier Frames was there. We discussed options, but I wanted to have the actual crystals displayed with the object itself, with the fully finished object itself. So we discussed some options, and we came up with this. Now, if I lift this up, it's not got the actual crystals in because that would be a recipe for disaster. I've got them out down here, but JC's going to put something up here, so you can see the crystals and sort of the plan for it. And this, oh, this is going to be bad. Right, hang on. This, it's magnetic. So my mum has limited upper body mobility, but she likes to handle the crystals, and also we wanted to make sure they sort of were protected and safe. So Lisa came up with this kind of magnetic closure, this magnetic finish to it, and it's beautiful, like with the box and the shelf. It's sort of like, I'll show you, it's all kind of boxed in there, you can kind of see there, and yeah, I love it. I mean, I do. Yeah, my mum's house is all dark wood, so aesthetically that was why that was that choice, but I actually think it sets it off really, really well. It was ridiculously reasonable price for such a bespoke custom frame, so I'll put a link to Lisa's Facebook. If she's got a website, I'll pop a link to that too. But yeah, if you want to consider framing any of your work, I would 100% recommend Lisa at Atelier Frames. In terms of the stitching itself, the designer was Oksana Polyakova, and it was released by Lakeside Needlecraft, and it was a stitch long. I started it, I'm trusting in the notes that I've got from the last time. So I started it on the 24th of January 2024, and I finished it on the 10th of April 2024. The release schedule was actually the 1st of January 2022 to the 28th of August 2022, and it was in 12 parts. The fabric is 18 count opalescent white Zweigart Ada, and the threads are the DMC called for. It was stitched 2/2, and it's 180 wide by 240 high, and the size is approximately, the stitch size is approximately 10 by 13.5 inches on the 18 count, which is 25 by 42 centimeters. And yeah, I love it. I mean, the back stitching really, I love a bit of backstitch magic here. I really do. But I think I don't know if it called for 2 strands on the back stitch. I think I just did 1, and with the sort of the technique of the back stitching, if you can call it a technique, just back stitching it. But I went with the shorter stitches and joins rather than kind of like the big long joins, where I could, because I felt it kind of suited it a bit more, and it broke it up a bit more, made it a bit more sort of like crystal-esque. So yeah, I mean, like, look at that. It's a beautiful design. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the frame, come on people, that's like, it's so beautiful. And I will get sort of like a proper picture up, like Royal Me, like JC will get something up just to show how gorgeous it looks with the actual crystals themselves. So I'm going to pause again because I need to put this down, and I need to not break it. So be right back. Right, okay, that's safe. That's jinxed it. That's not moving. That's okay there. It's not moving currently, and it's got the bubble wrap on it in case it does. Now, at the same time, way back then, I'd also been working on the Odyssey stitch along, and I'd gotten a teeny bit behind on it, just a smidge, not loads, and I was loving it, so I was stitching on it. I genuinely only got a little bit behind on it because I was trying to push for the crystallized stitch along finishing. I studied classics and ancient history, and I was really excited for this coming out. If you're not familiar with the story of the Odyssey, it's an ancient Greek epic poem. It's attributed to Homer, and in the Odyssey we follow the Greek hero Odysseus and his journey on his way home from the Trojan War. Now, I pulled my notes again. I shouldn't write things down. I thought it would be an easy catch up, because it stitches really quickly. It's pretty mono. It's just got like one. It's got 2 colours, but like it's mostly black, and yeah, I thought, yeah, easy catch up. I love stitching it. It goes quickly, and yeah, I was wrong. I got too smug. I got possibly too smug and too excited because yeah, when it came to lining up, it kind of didn't, and it sort of was off by 1 stitch, and then where it was off kind of meant other things were off too, because yeah, you know how it goes. So I had to put my big girl pants on and unpick some of it. Now, I did. The last time you saw it, it looked like this, JC. And it was at 8,304 stitches out of what ended up being 11,514 stitches. We just didn't know at the time because it was a stitch along, it was mystery, it was released in parts. And it now looks like this at 11,514 stitches. It's a finish. I love this. You don't understand how much joy this brings me. If we're talking like Marie Kondo kind of joy, this brings me joy. So yeah, Odyssey stitch along, I love it. I love the pattern, I love the colour choices, I love absolutely everything. I wouldn't change anything about it, apart from I've kind of got to go like this to kind of get it in. So yeah, I kind of like to formally request an Iliad stitch along as well, please. Quaternion Creations, Iliad stitch along, which was also another epic poem, and yeah, this is my formal request for that, because this looks beautiful and it would love a friend. So I need to scroll, hang on. The designer, as I've just mentioned, is Quaternion Creations. I started this, it's getting better with the start dates. I started it on the 8th of November 2023, and I finished it on the 14th of April 2024. It was a stitch long, as I've said, so the release schedule was the 27th of September 2023 until the 14th of February 2024, and the release is about every 2 weeks, and there were rest weeks built in there. So like I wasn't that far behind. I wasn't. The fabric is 35 count linen Savannah by Luella's Fabrics. Luella's Fabrics is on Facebook. I'm in Fabric of the Month club, but it's not every month, it's every couple of months. But she will dye you fabrics like specifically for on request. And this is one that I picked up, I think, at a retreat. I was looking for something to stitch this on specifically, and this was there and it was perfect, but I would have asked for something if not. The threads are called for DMC for the yellow version. There was also a blue version where it was white and yellow, I think, for the accent rather than red. I hate stitch. I mean, hate is a strong word, but I hate stitching white so much. So I saw this option. I was like, yes. Firstly, that looks amazing. Secondly, there's no white thread in it. It is stitched over 2/2 on the 35 count linen. I need to scroll again. Hang on. In terms of the stitched area, it's 178 wide by 231 high. It is 14.25 by 18.5 inches with on the 18 count, which is about 36 by 47 centimetres. And as I've mentioned, I think the stitch count is 11,514, and that's what I'm currently at. So that is a finish. Well, not be a fully finished, you know, let's not get too excited, but yeah. I couldn't get the other one closer, the crystallized stitch along, but if I just sort of just kind of make sure that's, you can kind of see what's going on there. So it's all the different sort of main components of the story. So yeah, I've written down, I was thinking about doing a story time to explain it for the folks who might not know the tale and the background. I mean, I obviously didn't do that. I'd still love to. Let me know what you think. Do you want story time and we can talk through the design? But yeah, have I said how much I love it? Okay, there we go. You can go there. So next. Okay, so we're still in 2024, and I was at the Ladybird retreat in Crewe in April 2024. That's where I saw Lisa to look at getting the project frame. It was about the time of the Lola Crow Deadly Aquarium stitch along starting. We'll put a pin in that because I actually think I started that stitch along. I promise I don't just do stitch alongs, I promise. I think I started that at that retreat, but then I had like a massive break in stitching essentially until the end of July, and I kind of just panic stitched at that point when Big Stitch was just around the corner, and there's nothing like a bit of panic stitching to get the old stitchy mojo forced into flowing. Now, what I did do when I was panic stitching, hang on, I gotta find it. On the lead up to Big Stitch, I had a start and a finish within a few days, and it was another fully finished object. Apart from don't be impressed about this one because I'm not. It's tiny. So I did the Fox coaster kit. It's from Heritage Crafts. I started it, I'll show you in a tick, but I started it on the 19th of July 2024 and I finished it on the 22nd of July 2024. I think that's right for the Big Stitch dates. If I didn't panic stitch it beforehand, which I'm pretty sure I did, it was after. I'm fairly sure this was panic stitched to try and get me back into stitching. The fabric is 14 count Ada from the kit, and the threads are also from the kit. It's stitched 2/1. And yeah, it is. And the stitched area is 40 wide by 40 high, and I just showed you that for a little while because I don't know how bad the glare is going to be on this. Now, I've said it's fully finished, right? Okay, I thought it was, and then I pulled it out. Now we're going to suspend reality here, and we're just going to pretend that I've cut around the thing to yeah, we're just going to pretend, okay, because it'll take me 2 minutes to do, and now the creases are definitely in there because it's been done for 2 years. So yeah, I'll absolutely be able to do that now. Now, Heritage Crafts has ceased trading, so if you like this, and there are other woodland designs, you might not be able to get it anymore. There we go, a little foxy in focus now. The size is approximately 3¼ by 3¼ inches, which is about 8 centimetres by 8 centimetres. And the stitch count, not including the back stitch, is 668 stitches. So yeah, it's super cute. And I actually, I'll see if I can find any stock anywhere for it and link it. But why did I pick this to stitch? So I've got a good friend, a stitch friend, who is Ms. J Foxy Stitches on Instagram, who is no longer Foxy by name because she got wedded, but she was, and she's absolutely fab. Now, this is a token of appreciation for Jen. It's an IOU because I've not seen you in a while, and I also completely forgot about it for when I did see you. So if you still want it, you are, and you're watching this, you are most welcome to have it, and I will bring it to the next retreat, which I hope you're at. And if not, I'll get in touch with you anyway, and I'll get him to you if you would like him. So, well, assuming it's a him. It looks like a little boy. It looks like my Rocky. So my dog. So a little bit. So yeah, that's why it's a boy. Yeah, so that is a nice, cute little coaster that's definitely fully finished. And yeah, we're still in July. We're in July 2024. So next, Big Stitch came along. I'm pretty sure that this is the order of things, and I decided to take a few things along, but focus on the Deadly Aquarium that I'd started in April at the crew retreat, Ladybird retreat. Now, the good news is I'd also picked up the Epic Pokemon Gen 1 Stitch along, for people who were sort of rooting for me to do a bit more on that. The bad news is I think I just picked it up to take a photo of it, and I didn't actually do any work on it at all. But anyway, I did keep stitching, and we kept going on and off with the Deadly Aquarium, and then finally we got another finish on it. So you know the future. You might not. Do you know the Futurama meme that's from the show where Fry's like, shut up and take my money? That's kind of what I'm like with Lola Crow stuff. And I forgot how much I love this. And I'm going to say this a lot, but I genuinely did. And I don't know if you're like this too. Do you kind of, I mean, I guess some people actually display what they stitch on the walls and everything. But I don't. It's perfect. I love it. And I forgot it existed, and I'm really sad about that, because when I pulled it back out again to do this, I was like, yeah, that's gorgeous, and it's not worthy of being in a folder, but that's the reality of the stuff in my house. So it's everything. It's the fabric choice that sets it off, but it's the colours that she's chosen. It's the backstitch magic. It's absolutely everything. It's beautiful, and it's like this for so many Lola Crow pieces. I fangirl over Lola Crow. I really do. I don't think I made any alterations. There's probably some speciality threads in there, aka pet fur, because like with everything that I stitch, and some customization maybe, also known as me going wrong, but nothing is done on purpose. So this is the Lola Crow Deadly Aquarium Stitch Along. It started on the 16th of April 2024, and I finished it on the 30th of September 2024. The release schedule was April to August 2024, and it was in 13 parts. So yeah. It's 18 count Ada by Luella's Fabrics. I think it was a fabric of the month, and it's DMC threads that are called for. It's stitched 2/1, and the stitched area is 230 wide by 166 high, which means on 18 count it's about 12.8 by 9.2 inches, which is 32.5 by 23.5 centimetres, thereabouts. And the total stitch count, not including the back stitch, is 18,622 stitches. Yeah, so there we are. Like, And I get up close for that. It's beautiful. I was trying to pick out the bits that I loved about it especially, but I can't because I kind of love it all. And that's a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? What do I love about it? What's amazing about it? If you were going to... You're going to twist my arm. Let's go here. So, these jellyfish, right? I'm not a fan of jellyfish, I don't know if many people are. But the backstitch magic on... Oh, crap. Pepper. The backstitch magic on those... There. These here. Just really sets them off more than you can tell on camera, probably. I kind of love the grumpy fellows down here as well. So the landfish, that one, and I love him as well. These sort of embody how I kind of feel most days. But it's all gorgeous. The stingrays are beautiful. There, the stingray there. He's also gorgeous. I love him. Everything about it. So, yeah. I was then obviously in a Lola Crow era after finishing this, because I picked up another Lola Crow piece. Hang on, you got that. Yeah. So I dipped into the bag of judgy stuff, the bag of doom, the stuff that needed finishing, and I picked up another Lola Crow one. But before that, I need to take a short break because, again, I just need a little drink, and I'm also, it's hot. I'm also sweating again, which you didn't need to know, TMI. So yeah, I'm just going to cool down, and I'm going to make sure the dogs are okay, and the cats, and I'll just be back in 2 ticks. Okay, onwards, and apologies because I just watched the last bit through to make sure it was okay, and I smacked the mic with the fabric and it made a noise, and I'm going to get told off for that by JC because he always tells me off about the mic. So yeah, I'm sorry, and he's hopefully going to do some magic to dampen the fabric smashing against the microphone. So yeah, sorry, and thank you, JC. So next, Judgy Bag pulled another thing, wanted to get another finish. So the last time you saw this, the Creepy Christmas Village ornament stitch along, I promise I do not just do stitch alongs. It was around November 2023. I think that's the last time you saw it. And it looked like this. I had 3 parts done. And I think I had to put it down to stitch Christmas cards. But I also vaguely recall, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. I knew I wanted it all on one bit of fabric. I plotted it all out and all the stitching points, and it was kind of like South Park. The South Park episode with the underpant gnomes. So stage 1 is collect underpants, stage 3 is make profit, but they don't know what stage 2 is to get to that point. So I knew I wanted it finished on one piece of fabric, and I plotted it out to get to that point, that finish point, but I kind of didn't have a plan for the middle. And then I'm gonna not do what I want to do. We got a bonus piece as well, so my sort of tentative plans for the middle, the bonus thing had to go in there, so it kind of messed it all up a bit. Not that there were any firm plans in the first place, we were winging it. So fast forward to October, November 2024, and I kind of was on a Lola Crow kick, and here we are. So it's technically finished, but not quite. So let me just grab this here. So here we go. This is what we're looking like. So this is the Creepy Christmas Village stitch along. Now, I think I want to put some wording in there somewhere. She used kind of like a ye olde font, which looked really cool, like just said Lola Crow's Creepy Christmas Village Sal or something like that. And it looked really nice, and that was like my plan, was that I was gonna I was gonna have it like there in the middle. There. Now, apart from there's a thing in the middle now, because we got I'm not complaining about a bonus release, but this wasn't supposed to be there in my plans. But I've kind of got room. I kind of got room there, and I kind of got room there, so I could still do something. I could, but I haven't yet because I'm not quite decided on what I want to do. Now, in terms of actually the piece itself and where we're at with it, so it is 100%. It has got all of the releases on it, and I love the cold fur fabric. We saw this earlier. It's the Elephant Run fabric from Fox and Rabbit Designs, and I think the stitching really stands out on there. You kind of got to ignore these crosses, these kind of like this green cross here kind of thing, and the red crosses, and they're just my stitching points, my plotting points, so that I knew it's sort of even and symmetrical kind of ish almost. So yeah, let me just have a look here, see if I can get in a bit for you. Now it's, we'll go a bit close up now. I definitely stitched it in order, and I'm kind of not sure what that order was. I feel like I started over here, so this is this side of the fabric, and I think I went, so 1, 2, this is possibly completely wrong, so just, you know, we'll just again suspend reality. 3, 4, and then I'm pretty sure it was 5, this one, and 6, and then the Morley bonus release there in the middle. Fairly sure that's how it went. I definitely don't want to cut it into ornaments, and it's kind of it's a finish in my head, and if it always stays like this, if I ever do anything with it, which is unlikely, I'll take the little sort of the markers out for the where I planned the stitching. But yeah, anyway, designer's Lola Crow. I started this on the 3rd of November 2023, and I finished it, shut up, I finished it on the 3rd of November 2024. I'm aware that's a year, I just wasn't expecting it to be the same day. Sal dates, 3rd of November 2023 to 22nd of December 2023. Mentioned it's Elephant Run fabric, so it's 16 count Aida. Threads, DMC, stitch 2/1. I don't think it looks that bad, like in terms of gappiness. I think I'm like loads happier with that. I just go in here. Over. Oh, I just smashed that microphone again. I'm going to be in so much trouble if I have. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm kind of loads happier in terms of the kind of gappiness of the 16 count on that, rather than just, I think it's the block stitching on Circus. It just made it a bit more obvious. The stitch area, the ornaments are 52 by 52 stitches, and there's 6 ornaments plus the bonus. And the stitch count, it's about 12 to 1500 stitches per ornament, and each one is about 3.5 by 3.5 inches, which is about 9 by 9 centimeters. So yeah, it's absolutely finished. It might be a finish for now. I'm going to have a think about it, like we've obviously been thinking about it for quite some time now, but we might see it again. We might. So yeah, that's the Lola Crow Creepy Christmas Village Ornaments Sal, and you can go there. Whew. Right. So after that, based on my photos, I obviously thought, what's the next thing I can finish? I must have been on a finish kick. I picked up the I don't just do stitch alongs. I picked up the cryptid stitch along at the time, as a potential let's finish what we started, and I think I remember now. I've gone through everything, what went off with that and why I kind of put it away in the naughty corner, or the naughty judgy bag. I remember why it went away. So, in my infinite wisdom, I think when I first started it, but we're not going to talk about when that was, apart from we will in a few minutes. I thought I wanted it to be really delicate and look a bit different, and to do that I ended up stitching the frame 1/2 on the 30 count call fabric. And I think I possibly at some point while I was stitching, I maybe began to have, I don't remember this, but I possibly began to have doubts and put it away. I can tell you now, future me like we did not like that at all. And I think I just maybe at that time couldn't contemplate fixing or like unpicking the volume that I'd already done. Now, I was at a Stitchy day in Nottingham, I think, in November 2024, and to be quite honest with you, I wasn't feeling very stitchy at all, and it was a good idea at the time that I booked it, but then actually when it came to the time, stuff was going on and blah, blah. However, I took the time to unpick a lot of stitching so I could make a fresh start on it. And I kind of unpicked and I unpicked so much. I unpicked like 2,000 stitches. But I also got to a point where I was like, not done this today specifically, but I was like taking it out, but I was also stitching a bit as well, so it wasn't quite so soul destroying. But I did essentially pull the lot and start from scratch again. I've got some photos here. JC's gonna be kind enough to pop them up, but you can kind of see what I mean in terms of how far I gotten, and all came out. Yeah, I could have stitched like one leg over, but then I'd have had to make it consistently wrong, and it would have bothered me. I would have known. I know no one else probably would know, but I mean, obviously you would, because I'm telling you. But like, yeah, it wouldn't be good. So, looking at my stitching records, I use Notion, by the way, to track my stitching. I'll pop a link to it in the video notes, but looking at that, I must have put a decent amount of time back into it in December, but I don't actually have any pictures of that. So we're going to pin in cryptids, and we're going to come back to cryptids shortly, but we're going to go Happy New Year 2025. And I started the new year with grand plans, big plans. Pokemon 365. That's right. I thought I might be able to get the Pokemon Epic Gen 1 pattern done in a year. That was my target. That was my aim. Now, I don't think of this in advance. I thought of that a few days into the new year, so I kind of already lost a few days, and I was already a smidge behind. But what's 1 or 2 stitches average across a whole 365 days? What is nothing? It's nothing, right? So I got a spreadsheet together, and I worked out my stitches per day, and I got started, and then I got distracted by stuff, and also squirrels and hedgehogs and snow, amongst other things. If we've got any cute photos of animals, we'll put them in here. It's not stitching, but you can see the cute photos. And then I got back on track with Pokemon 365, but then I stopped stitching again. And there's kind of a pattern emerging here between mid-April onwards until probably about August. I don't think during that period I did very much stitching at all, numbers wise. June and July were pretty much write-offs. Like, seriously, in terms of stitching, it was garbage. It was game over. There was nothing getting done. I think probably 2025 I probably did maybe 18,000 stitches in total, and in a good month I used to be able to pull about 10,000 stitches in a month. And since I've got holes in my vision, essentially, or I had bigger holes, and now they've got, anyway, that's slowed down since my vision's deteriorated a bit, but I could probably do now about 5,000 to 7,000 stitches a month. So just to give you an idea of how poor a stitchy show that was for me, but there were reasons, and it's fine. It's just like, it wasn't a great stitchy year. So we're gonna put a pin in that and come back to it, and we're gonna fast forward, and we're going to time. Happy New Year, again, but 2026. Okay, New Year, fresh start. Right. Pokemon 365. It seemed like a good idea again. And I'd already got a chunk of stitching done. I did like maybe 15,000 stitches on Pokemon. Like we could do this. We can do this, right? We could not. I was in a good headspace. I felt in a good place for stitched again. Like this was a year, and in this year is, it's not the year. It is not the year to do this. You might think you're going to see it, and you are. I put down like epic Pokemon on Gen 1 in March to look after my kitty cat Leo, and I needed something small to work on at the time, so I haven't picked it back up again since then. So let's have a gander. If you're not familiar with the pattern, the epic Pokemon Gen 1 cross stitch, it's by Lord Libidon. It's been recoloured in the Pokemon cross stitch group, and that's the one that I'm doing. I'm doing a mix, so it's in a square. JC is going to put up what it is going to look like when it's finished. Apart from we're not going to do the blue and the red, we're going to doing it on a, well, I'll show you. I've talked a lot, I've shown you nothing. But yeah, so oh, it's okay. I thought I was going to need the defuzzer, but I'm not. So yeah, I love Pokemon. I do. It's sort of like been a childhood thing. I played the original games. I've played all of the Pokemon games pretty much. I play Pokemon Go. Depending on when this is coming out, I probably ought to have said the date. It's the 6th of July, 2026 today. So yeah, depending on when this comes out, this next weekend coming is Go Fest Global, and I'll probably be out Pokemoning and catching some stuff in Pokemon Go. So here we go. This is where I've got to so far. This is sort of the grand sum total of 2 years of work. And we kind of we got, like, check that out. Like we got some Pokemon in there. Just some facts and figures. So I started this on the 15th of April 2023. It's on 18 count Black Swigart Ada. The threads of the DMC called for, sort of. I mentioned it's being recoloured. So it's the kind of the recoloured palette in the Pokemon cross stitch group on Facebook. Stitch area, it's 256 wide by 450 high. It's approximately 109,000 stitches. It's very approximate because I'm, like I say, I'm not doing the red and blue background, so I've removed what I can from Pattern Keeper, and I'm also doing the extended version, which hasn't been recoloured, so I'm kind of winging it as I go along and working it out as I go, so it's going to be about that. So the size overall, and you'll have to excuse any like pet fuzz hair, that kind of thing, it's a biggie. So we got all this fabric to go, kind of thing. We gotta go. There we go. So we've got all that to go. It's gonna end up being on 18 count 14.25 by 25 inches, which is about 36 by 65.5 centimeters. I promise I don't just do sales, but I'm doing this as a stitch along with Miss J Foxy Stitches on Instagram, and like we totally had a hashtag and everything, and I think we both lapsed on it. I mean, I've definitely lapsed on it, but she started it at the same time, and Jen started it in the top corner with Mew. Now, there's no right and wrong way to stitch. I'm a great believer in that. However, I'm just saying there is for this one, because ascending order, folks, that is the way. So I started, hang on, too much fabric. I started at the bottom with Bulbasaur, who is one of my favourite Pokemons. If you're interested, you're going to get told anyway. My favourite Pokemons are Bulbasaur, Gengar and Psyduck, not in that particular order. So I started with Bulbasaur, and then I worked all the way along the bottom row. I can't see the camera now. I'm hoping this is gonna work. And then I started like back on itself, because that's where the numbers incremented up. So I worked all the way along. So I'm working in Pokemon numerical order, and the Pokemon have orders. They have a number assigned to them. So Generation 1 is the first lot of Pokemon that were out, the OG Pokemon in the Pokemon games. And yeah, I love it. I mean, it's more confetti than I thought. Like, I was thinking, like, yeah, I'll absolutely be able to smash this. I think on average, it was about 240 stitches if I was going to do the Pokemon 365. And I thought, yeah, I can actually smash out 240 stitches on this every day and be absolutely fine. Excuse me, I struggled, because while there are sort of chunks of colour, like blocks of colour, the colour changes are there, and there are lots of sort of things going on within each one of those. But yeah, look at that, he's amazing. So yeah, it's going to be big-ish, and it's going to look awesome. I love that I did it on the black fabric. I mean, obviously I chose the black fabric to do it on, so I should love it. But yeah, I think it really stands out. I think it really makes the colours pop. So yeah, that's how far we've got if we start again. I think JC will have put up a picture already of how far I got before I started stitching it again. It wasn't very far at all, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, epic Pokemon Gen 1. Perfect. I think it's about 19.5% complete or thereabouts. I think in 2026 so far I've put in about 5,500 stitches. So I think it's 21,500 stitches total in the whole thing. So yeah, there we go. Right, what's next? So I mentioned at the beginning of the Pokemon kind of thing about needing to look after Leo and putting Pokemon down in probably March, and I don't think I did very much stitching at all, to be quite honest with you, for a little while. We'll come to all that later. But yeah, I picked up something small that I could do, and I could stitch in hand. I still use a little frame when I stitch in hand, but not sort of I use a Q-snap to stitch the bigger things. I had lots of kind of 7,000 to 10,000 stitch projects. I didn't have anything in the judgy bag that needed finishing that was kind of small enough for what I wanted. So I started something new. I grabbed one of those. I've had them kitted up ages, like years and years, and we're all talking small things, but there are things that they really make me happy, and that I wanted to stitch. So I'm terrible at impressions and things, but just imagine me in kind of my best, like, kind of preacher / religious individual voice going, folks, can I tell you more about the Gospel of the Elder Scrolls and the Book of Skyrim? Because I adore Skyrim. I've completed that game so many times on various consoles, and yeah, I appreciate it's about slaying dragons rather than befriending them and riding them in mutual agreeable terms of coexistence, like in books. But it's an amazing RPG. You get to collect things, and you get to do ridiculous amounts of side quests, and and thinking about it, I mean, it's actually been way too long since I've played it, and I probably ought to like dig it out again. However, I saw this pattern, and it was a need, not a want. The colours are beautiful. When I started stitching it, I was like a bit like, yeah. I started in the middle and it looked a bit rubbish, and I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. But it actually it does, and it looks amazing from a distance. So you won't have seen this before. It's not from me anyway. It's the Galaxy Skyrim logo. So the logo is the game's logo, and it's normally in black, but it's in the Galaxy pattern, so that's why it's been named the Galaxy Skyrim logo. The designer is Needleminder Lair on Etsy. I think this one's possibly retired now, but they do have more gamey stuff, and they do have more kind of the galaxy patterns, but I don't know if this one specifically is on there anymore. I started it on the 10th of May 2026, according to what I've written. I'm not quite sure that's right, but it probably is. And I finished it on the 23rd of May 2026. I'm not sure that start date's right. We'll work it out. It's 18 count opalescent white Zweigart Ada. The threads are the call for DMC from the pattern, and I stitched it 2/1. The stitching area, it's 106 wide by 200 stitches high, and I just need to scroll. Hang on. It's 7,336 stitches, and it puts it about 11 inch by 16 inch, which is about 28 centimeters by about 15 centimeters. So yeah, I mean, I love this, like, and I'll come in closer, but like from a distance, like the effect is lovely. I don't think it sparkles on camera, but it does in real life, and it really has a nice effect on it. Now, I started like there, and I mentioned the white stitching business, don't like, so I started there, and close up it looked a bit terrible, I'm not gonna lie to you, but then as I added more and more to it, and as I sort of like stepped away from it and actually looked at it from a distance, it kind of all came together, which I get. Trust the pattern. Trust the pattern, people, because you get something like this at the end. So yeah, that's, yeah, I love it, and it's just gonna go in the folder. But yeah, it is beautiful, and I possibly ought to pick Skyrim up again at some point very soon. And that's May 2026, and it's July 2026, so we're in the right year now, and this is good. But after doing this, I was a bit conflicted about what to do next, but I guess the way I'm kind of feeling at the moment is I kind of want to close chapters and start new stories. So I went back to the judgy bag, and I had a good look at what I had going on, and I picked the cryptid stitch along back up again. It is a particular special one for me, because it's how I met my good friends in the crafty coven, in my crafty coven, and my good friends in the crafty coven, plus honorary coven member Brom, because just because you didn't stitch cryptids doesn't mean that you're not in. So let's have a look. I started this in August 2021, and I've worked on it on and off. Obviously, I mentioned the massive kind of episode of unpicking and all that jazz. I might have to. I've got a board. That'll do. So. Oh yeah, I've got a number there. Yeah, I did. I put in 2,000 stitches on it that all came out, and JC's put the thing in already. We talked about that. Now this year, I've put in 7,156 stitches on it, and my historic starting number, so my restart number essentially, it was at 3,715 when I picked it back up, which was from the restart at the beginning at the beginning of November 2024 to the end of December 2024, I think. Anyway, we're here now, and here is about 60%. The board's possibly not going to do it, but it's better than nothing, which is 10,871 stitches, and that doesn't include any back stitch. So there we are. Now I'm aware of what I've done. I if I'm doing stitch longs and I'm out of sync with them, I do like to follow the numbers, like the releases. However, it would have destroyed my soul a tiny bit more than it already it's running on depleted anyway. But yeah, I couldn't have done it. If I'd have messed this frame up or any part of it, it would have gone away and it wouldn't have come back out again. So I chased the frame. I chased the mini frames inside of it to make sure everything lined up. And yeah, that's where we're at. We're getting there. So the designer is the Witchy Stitcher. We've gone through the start and the restart. The release schedule was from the 1st of August 2021. It was weekly parts with an occasional break until 21st of January 2022. The fabric is Old Salem linen. It's 30 count by the Primitive Hair. It's the Cold for fabric. I'm using the Cold for DMC threads, but I am replacing some. So I am sort of converting like the words here and like sort of the little accents, little bats and the word cryptids there, or as it will be. That's all going to be in DMC Etoile. And then all of these accents here, these are going... Not Etoile. Come on, this is like I'm toast now. I'll have a break after this bit and then I'll come back later, possibly tomorrow. DMC Diamond, and I had a bit of a crisis because I ran out of black diamond thread. I now have lots of it. After a bit of a trauma trying to get hold of it. Also, so yeah, the skulls, like any accents, any moons, anything in the corners, anything there, that's all going to be in the shiny diamond. So it should have a bit of bling going on. All these little, coming closer, so all these little things down here, all the little crosses and things, they're all diamond. You can't really see the shine on it anywhere, but it's okay. I know it's there. And I've also, I know it's there. I've had the trauma of stitching it, but it looks pretty good in real life. There hopefully are going to be 2 replacements. So my lovely friend Jen, the newly wild dragon who used to be Wolf Down the Rabbit Hole, we coined it Sexy Water Death Horse, but it is actually a cryptid, a Welsh cryptid. So that's going to go in there, and I might make one of my own, which is, it's not a secret, but it might not come off. And if it doesn't, I'll tell you what it was anyway. But if it does, you'll see it. So I'm going to chart my own cryptid. So I think I'm going to. Well, I know I had to make a plan for all of this and work out where things were going to go. So I'm replacing the night crawlers there because they're not one of my favourite ones, and whatever that was. Not Hopkins Goblin, Dover Demon, I think, possibly. That one's going as well. So those 2 there are not going to be as per the cell. They're going to be customised. There might also be a few other things in there. You can ignore that, by the way. That's just me praying, basically, that it lined up when I reached that. It did. I was so grateful. But yeah, that's just my lining up thread. So in terms of stitching the rest of it, I am gonna stitch the actual insides in cell order, kind of. I don't know what I'm going to do about the customization. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, I'll sort out a list of, it's years old, but I will sort out a list of what colours I've replaced with the diamond, in case you're interested. So that's that. This is my current whip. I've got about 7,000 stitches to go in it, which will segue nicely into plans. It's stitched 2/2. Stitch area is 199 wide by 244 high. So it's going to end up being about 13 by 16 inches, which is about 33 by 40 centimetres. So yeah, cryptid stitch long. Just, you can't see anything. I'm not going to hit this microphone. So yeah, that's the kind of, the bling's not going to show, is it? But it's okay. It's okay. Whew. So that's that. Now, it's taken a not insignificant amount of time to get through this. Both, like, I appreciate this is going to be a fairly long video, but also, like, there are a lot of recordings and failed attempts in here, a few swear words as well, that you're never going to see unless I do a bloopers reel at some point. Then we'll you know. So I'm going to stop here for today. and then there'll be no time at all for you. My creative director will seamlessly stitch everything together as he normally does, because he's fantastic. I mean, I kind of did my own videos. I don't know, he's great. He just does it for me. But yeah, so we will pick up with plans, giveaway, shout outs, a bit of acquisitions and Stitchy kindness, and all that jazz. And then a bit of tea, a bit of a life update. We might talk about reading, watching, listening to, but I can see some of the numbers in here on minutes of how long these like snippets are, and it might end up being a long one. So we'll see how far we get. So if I appear differently tomorrow, hopefully slightly less flushed and like warm, and this light's going off like as soon as I stop recording, that is why. It's a new day, folks. It's a new day. So yeah, I'll catch you in a second, but it'll be 24 hours for me. See you soon. Hello, I've got a confession. It's the 8th of July now, not the 7th. I did do some recording yesterday, but yeah, I've watched it back and it wasn't great, so I'm doing it all again. So we're going to try and rattle through the rest of this Flosstube because I need to get it finished, and you don't need to be here much longer because you've already been here a while looking at some of the recordings from the 6th. So, plans. I'm fairly monogamous at the moment. My eyes and my hands aren't particularly cooperating with me switching different fabric types, different counts, different colour palettes, that kind of thing, which is cool. I'm okay with that. So I think my plan is going to be stitch cryptids. It's kind of unceremoniously folded right there. I think I'm going to go for, let's say my target is going to be kind of the 80 to 90% range, because work's ramping up a bit and it's already the 8th of July, so let's not go too far. And anything I do is I'm grateful to be stitching, to be honest with you, so let's just go for that. I've got lots of other things I want to work on. I really do. I've got the Lola Crowsal, I've got the last Lola Crowsal, so I've got the museum, I've got Extraordinary Birds that I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to tandem stitch them to the release of the museum ones. That's not gonna happen. Kind of getting like an urge for a big full coverage as well, and I'm not sure where that's coming from, but that's kind of like a little itch that needs scratching too. But if I'm monogamous, then that's going to kind of snooker me. So I don't know, but target number 1, let's get cryptids done. Might be the end of August by the time it's sorted, but we'll do that first. Side quest, I want to start documenting everything that I have, because I am forgetting, and I have lots of lovely things, and I don't know what I've got anymore. I mean, I was going to say not because I've got too much of it. I probably have. What's the acronyms? It's SABLE, Stash Accumulator Beyond Life Expectancy. Probably that. But I've always had quite a good memory for stuff of what I've got, and actually at the moment my memory's trash as well. So yeah, I think I need to better sort of document what I have so I can make more informed choices about what I want to stitch. So that's kind of going to be a side quest like that right there. I've never been one for a load of whips, so that's absolutely fine. You know, I'll tend to like push through burnout and things like that, and ride it out to the other side. So I think that's where we're going. That's what we're going to do. Cryptid stitch along plus side quest. That's my plan. Giveaway. As I mentioned, I went to Big Stitch and I visited the stall of Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. Jacob was vending there, and yeah, I've had the pleasure of meeting Jacob at the last Big Stitch, and also we've been on a few Stitchy Zoom calls together with other people, and yeah, Jacob's great. I love the passion that he's got for samplers. I'm kind of in awe of the amount of research he puts into finding out their backgrounds and the story of the stitcher and the family and the heritage, and yeah, he's just got such a wealth of knowledge, and that's what I really appreciate, because I'm not a massive sampler person. I like elements of them, I like motifs. I'm not saying I don't have any sampler patterns, but they're not really my thing, that my sort of my regular stitching. However, I'm there for the stories of the people and the heritage and the background of it, and I think that's absolutely amazing. But Jacob has got a range of patterns for folks like me, and they're called the dark crosses. And I grabbed one of his patterns. I grabbed it for myself, and then we could only do cash payments, and long story short, I didn't want to pinch all his change, so I was like, do you know what, it's fine, I'll buy a second one and I'll give it away. My Flosstube kind of forces my hand to do a Flosstube, which I've meaning to do for a little while now, and I love it, so someone else might appreciate it too. It's also a really good sales technique. We joked about that at the time. So anyway, after then hearing some people go, oh, I've got Jacob to sign my retreat exclusive, my Big Stitch exclusive, because there was exclusive designs there. I was like, oh, duh, I could have like asked Jacob to sign the pattern to give away. So I went back the next day and I asked him, and he did. So here we have signed Modern Folk embroidery. This is my familiar. So for the giveaway, you will receive this pattern, and let me just do this so we don't see it, which is signed, which is quite cool. Now Jacob knows that I'm going to be giving them this away on Flosstube. He also knows that he's signed it and I'm giving it away, so we're all good there. This is in no way affiliated with Jacob or Modern Folk Embroidery or any other entity or organisation. You know, it's not affiliated with anyone. It's just something I bought that I thought was cool and I wanted to pay it forward. So, rules. We need rules. Don't make me creepy. Please be over 18 and able to give me your name and address if you win. I'll send it anywhere in the world. I'm quite happy to pop the pattern and post it off to anywhere. Please don't use the word giveaway in the comments or make any reference to like sort of freebie giveaway kind of thing, because the bots will come and I want an actual stitch person to receive this. Anything else? Oh, we need a date, don't we? We need a word, right? So the date is going to be, I will do a July recap and I'll probably do it the first weekend in August. So it is, I'm going to tick, that will be the weekend of the 1st and the 2nd of August. Okay, so if I say, please, if you want to be in for a chance to enter the giveaway and potentially receive the pattern and win the pattern, then could you please use the magic word, which I'll tell you in a second, and use that in the comments by midday, so 12 noon BST on the 1st of August. And that's a Saturday 1st of August, noon BST, because then that will give me a chance to pull my finger out and record, and I've got the whole weekend to procrastinate, and then I'll force myself to do it at Sunday night probably. Having said that, if you know, I'm not going to be sort of like mega strict on that. If I do record Sunday and you put the word in on like Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning or something like that and I've not recorded yet, then yeah, I'll kind of capture those ones as well. But to make sure, if you want to receive that you're in with a chance to do it, please do it by at the latest 12 noon BST on Saturday the 1st of August. Now, we're going to use the word familiar. I will also take familiars with the S at the end. And I'm sorry this is mirrored, by the way. I haven't, I could flip things, but I've not got the energy to do it. So yeah, I know it's mirrored, so we'll spell it. So we've got FAMILIAR, familiar, or familiars, put an S at the end. So tell me about your familiars. Maybe I love animals. Tell me about your pets, your familiars, your furry, scaled or feathered family members. If you resonate with a familiar who's not a part of the family, that's cool too. I would love to hear about that. What else could we do? If you're not comfortable with talking about your pets in that kind of context, then tell me maybe about a cross-stitch designer that you're really familiar with, who I might like. Enable me. I might already be familiar with that person and their work, who knows, but you could ask me if I am, or if I've seen a piece of work, am I familiar with it? Any context that you want to use is absolutely fine. I'll ask JC to put the words up on the screen as well. Please don't just shove familiar in the comment. It kind of looks a bit obvious, doesn't it? But yeah, get creative, and I really look forward to reading your comments and then announcing a winner on the next Flosstube, which will be Flosstube number 16. Right, next. Ooh, not next. If you are leaving me at this point, if you are abandoning me, which is absolutely fine, because next is going to be Shoutouts, acquisitions, let's not call it haul, Stitchy kindness, and kind of big stitch and like life stuff. And I know people are interested in all that. Some folks are, and that's fab. But if you're not, that's also cool too. Thank you so much for joining me and spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope maybe to see you back. I mean, I hope to see me back, never mind you. But yeah, thank you so much, and take care, and happy stitching if you're leaving at this point. Just quickly, before anyone leaves, hopefully the giveaway winner will be selected by a random comment picker, so I'm not doing that. So yeah, you can just pop the word or words in, and it will select it for us, for me, because yeah, too much pressure. Can't do favourite comments. Crikey, can't. No favouritism here. It's all down to the fates. Right, okay. Shout outs, acquisitions, stitch kindness, big stitch, all that kind of stuff. So shout outs first. And kind of a bit of like a, I don't know. If you've never been to kind of a cross stitch retreat or stitching retreat, or any kind of stitchy event, if you can get to one, I would highly encourage you to do so. I mean, I know there's obviously a cost implication and things are tight for folks out there at the moment, but if you can do, it is well worth it. And even if you feel maybe kind of different, or the stuff you stitch is different, or that you're kind of nervous, or you might not, you don't know what to do, you will be okay, and you will find some people who you connect with. And I found a person on the weekend of Big Stitch who I was chatting to, and that was Linda. So Linda, I don't even know if you're going to watch this, but just to say I appreciate you, and I love talking to you and chatting. Linda and I were sat queuing for Big Stitch for quite a while. Not that it was like there were loads of queues, it was just we got there super early, both of us. So we both had a bit of a natter and found some similarities. So yeah, hi Linda if you're watching, and if you're not, fair dues, but I just wanted to mention the fact that you know, I met an amazing person, and you could too, if you went to those kind of things. And even if the connections that you make are virtual, if you can't get to those things, you know, you might sort of have maybe limited mobility or limited access to those things, there's nothing around your area, then this is a lovely way to connect to with Flosstube. We make the connections in various kind of ways, and that's what stitching's about. We might do it solitary, but it's about the community as well. So yeah, and talking about that, thank you so much as well to shout out to my lovely stitchy friends, my crafty coven, my stitchy coven, as we call ourselves. We all started stitching cryptids together, and that's why it means quite a lot to me, and you know, because I met my very good friends that way. And Brom, you are honorary coven, obviously. Just because you didn't start stitching cryptids doesn't mean you're not in. So yeah, I see Joe at the crew retreats, the Ladybird retreats in Crewe. It's my last one in September, but I had an amazing weekend, a really lovely weekend with Marty and Brom, and I can't tell you how much I needed that. So thank you so much to Marty and Brom, and to the folks who I sat at the table with at Big Stitch. You know, it's I never met those people before apart from Marty and Brom, and yeah, everyone was fantastic. They were sort of like little table gifts, and it was really nice. And even the silences were lovely, even just sort of like stitching, it was a comfortable silence. So yeah, Big Stitch was a great weekend. I'm not going to show like kind of everything I bought. She says looking around in disarray, because I've already done this once, but I just wanted to sort of give you some like what you might see coming up in 3 to 5 years. What I kind of got. Now, this one isn't Big Stitch. This one I got from Very Crafty, and it is the Moth Hunters. I think I'm in my dragon era. I mean, I always was, but I think definitely like sort of moving forwards. This is Moth Hunters, and it's a kit. and it's beautiful, and I love it. So yeah, I think that came from very crafty, and it was sort of a weak moment just as I started back, sort of like coming back into stitching and things. And then I got a few things from Big Stitch that I wanted to try because they were a bit different, and I know now that these sort of have been everywhere, but I haven't been everywhere. I've been anywhere. I need enabling people. I don't know what's going on anymore. But these kind of, I like Mill Hills, so these will focus. I grabbed these from Talking Dog, from Rach, because yeah, I love like kind of all the small things. I'll not go there. So yeah, I grabbed those to try, and then more new things. Hang on. These I think were Corrie's Little Shop. So again, some kind of new things and techniques to try and see if my hands and my eyes will hold up to them. Yeah, I'm definitely in my dragon era. So I got Pain Free Crafts. I was talking to Sarah from Pain Free Crafts, and had a lovely chat. And also I've just dropped something. I grabbed a kit from Pain Free. Now bearing in mind please that I've saved up for Big Stitch for 2 years, and also I've hardly bought any other stitching stuff for quite a while, so please kind of no judging on what I've acquired, because also some of it was treats. JC treated me to a few things, and my lovely mum did too. Crafty Kate, I actually grabbed a dragon box, which ended up being a dragon bag, which had some lovely fabric in it, some floss drops, that everything's kind of wrapped up in there, and a needle minder too, and lots of other like lovely little bits and bobs. And then while I was there picking that up, I also grabbed this. Check out the colours in that. I love that. That is Dragon Studies by Letty Stitch. That's a kit too. And do a couple more things, just a couple more sort of like big stitchy shout outs, but not two shops. Now Morty, Stitchy Kindness, Morty, and this was like really unexpected and very ridiculously generous, thank you so much. Morty got me this project bag for my museum, for my Lola Crow cell, and it's gorgeous. I love it so much. Thank you. You know, you didn't have to, and I appreciate you, and thank you so much for grabbing me that, because it's perfect. You know I love dinosaurs, and you know I love Lola Crow, so you knew what you were doing, and it was very much appreciated. But then I was like, ooh, that's a nice project bag, and I don't have loads of them, to be fair, but I picked up from the same shop this one, because I love dragons and I don't like Christmas, but I like snow and snow globes. And check that out. And I was talking to the vendor, so it was Stitchamajig. They've got a website, stitchamajig.co.uk. And yeah, she was saying how I'm really sorry, I'm really rubbish with names, and I know that's not an excuse, but I ought to be better at these things and write things down. But she was saying how she's kind of like, this is like her own patterns and things, her own like sort of designs and things. So yeah, so that was another bag that I picked up, because I might get Finding Fantasy back out. I have other dragon related projects, as you've just seen, so that might be for those. We'll see. There were some talks as well. So Stacey and Ash did a talk. Tammy from Tammy's Treasures did, and I was in a couple of Tammy's classes. Now I didn't get anything from the stall, and the things I learned in the classes and tried to stitch were a bit pathetic because my eyes and my hands were not cooperating. They were pathetic because it was my attempts at it, not because it wasn't awesome. It was some finishing techniques. So it was about broad chain lacing stitch and like lacing back stitch and how to finish things off, because as we all know, I'm so great at finishing things. So I thought, oh, if I learn some new techniques, I might do that. And yeah, my eyes and my hands were not cooperating, so my attempts were pretty. I don't think I've got them here, so you can have a laugh. Well, we can have a look next time. But yeah, she does some fantastic things and some amazing things, and the talk was fantastic too. I keep saying fantastic and love, and that's kind of like, that was basically the weekend really. And then there was another talk as well by, I want to say Bethany, and again I'm sorry if that's wrong, but Blue Coppice. So just some lots of things are new to me at the minute. It's kind of like coming back again, I guess it is, to be fair. But Blue Coppice has some lovely, so I purchased Autumn Fox as a little mini because I also really wanted some of the bigger designs, but I knew that if I got them on paper I'd regret it. So to remind myself of what I wanted, I was graciously given the postcards for both of those, and I'm going to get them digitally at some point, and I am going to totally do those because I love the stories behind them. And as I've mentioned, I am kind of classics, archaeology, like ancient history kind of thing, that's my jam. And the stories that were sort of put to these pieces and the nods to sort of like the yeah, it was great. It was a great talk. And I, do you know what, I walked past the stall on the Saturday morning and I thought, do you know what, there's maybe a few things that I like, but nothing really here for me. But after actually hearing the passion about how they were designed and the elements to them, that's made me passionate about wanting to stitch them. So that was absolutely fantastic too, from Blue Coppice. So definitely worth checking out those, some more stalls and some more things. Now, have I got anything else I want to show? I possibly haven't at this point, because I don't want it to just sort of be like a train of stuff. And also other people have put fantastic pictures up from Big Stitch, and lots of Flosstubers obviously have put things up, and there's lots of things on Instagram at the moment. So there were freebies and there were retreat exclusives, and I think probably, I know Morty's just done a video, so Morty's probably just like done some bits on Big Stitch that are probably better than anything that I could do right now. So again, all for Coven, I will link all my good friends and their Flosstubes in the description. So if you go check out Morty and Brom's channel, they will have no doubt some good stuff on Big Stitch too. Right, what's next? Okay. Now, I'm semi-conflicted on this because we're going into sort of like life and tea and all that kind of stuff. And I've tried to do this a few times and I've ended up kind of either a bit of a mess or not able to finish it. So I mentioned kind of doing like a nod to like kind of 2-minute trauma, just to acknowledge sort of lots of things that have gone on, some worse than others, but I can't get through it. So let's try something. Right, I'm going to precursor this by saying, like, I don't get stressed out. I'm not like kind of a stressy person, but my body doesn't appreciate that. So part of my like ME and my fibro and my other things that I've got going on is my stress stacks and it impacts my body, and even though I don't feel it, I struggle to apparently release it. So yeah, it's I might not care, but everything kind of piles up, and I think kind of both physically and mentally it kind of like kicks me a little bit or a lot. So there's been loads of stuff going on, like, I don't know, my holes in my vision, those appeared like a really crap Stargate kind of thing with some blobs in the middle. They appeared quite shortly after I think it was April 24, after my last Flosstube, and things are loads better now. They are sort of like dispersing and they are still there, but not as bad and not as sort of prevalent. But that kind of like, that was a bit scary for a while. And yeah, there's been lots of things going on in terms of, well, JC had another surgery on his hand, and that kind of like took him out of action, and arguably he had it worse than me, but that was, you know, that was there. And then work's always hectic, and I don't know, my car got catastrophically broken to the, like, we basically took it in for a bit of work that needed doing, went, oh, can you do some additional stuff? And then we think they forgot to put oil back in it, and a few miles later I catastrophically broke down, and I was just glad it was in a car park and not on the motorway or on the dual carriageway that I'd just been on, because that could have been quite a different story. But that's all still ongoing even a year later, with sort of like things like that. And it's just these things that like kind of stack, and yeah, I don't know. My tinnitus has really ramped up, and that's there all the time now and constant, and it drives me potty some days, even though I just try and ignore it. And kind of, this is the bit I can't get through. 2 takes. Okay, so just trigger warning, pet loss and pet medical traumas. We've lost Leo. We had to say goodbye. He was amazing for 16 years, and he was my stitching buddy. Yeah. But he's always has like medical problems. He was an idiopathic overgroomer. I think he just liked wearing the suits that we put him in, to be quite honest. And then his butt exploded last year. He had an abscess, and having to sort of like had 2 or 3 months of like packing a cat's butt, as it was a wound. And I'll leave that there because it's as bad as what you imagined. Then we got him sorted with that, and he got diagnosed with kidney disease, and we thought we had a bit longer with him, but we didn't, because he started to lose his vision, and we thought we were going to have to take out one of his eyes, because there was lots of things going on there. And when we went for the scan for his eye just to see what was going on, he was riddled with cancer, bless him. So yeah, that was a bit rubbish, to say the least, because I don't swear. It was more than that. So yeah, everything's been a bit crazy and a bit rubbish, and there's been good things too, it's not just been like the bad stuff, but I think that's really important to mention. 2 ticks. Okay, right, we're doing this, we're finishing it. So yeah, I'm leaving it to JC's discretion about what he leaves in and what he chops out, because yeah, he knows. But yeah, not everything's been bad, just everything's compounded, and it's got stored, and I think as well I'm changing too. My I'm all over the place at the minute in terms of my body and my hormones and things like that. So it's about, I don't know, it's about changes and new eras, I guess, and yeah, so this is kind of why I'm back. Not just for something to keep me occupied, but because I miss this, and I miss the connections, and it's one of the not bad things that I had. And like I say, I'm not saying that my life's terrible. My life's horrible. It's not. In the past couple of years, we had those amazing aurora. I loved that. We started taking photos at like stupid o'clock. We had some nice snow. We've made some really slow progress on the garden. We've got pair of hedgehogs visiting us now, and we've got lovely new neighbours, and we've had nice birthdays and Christmases, and Chasey's business is doing fab, and I found him a barber that'll actually go to, so I don't have to cut his hair and his beard anymore, which is great for my hands, and it means I can stitch on those days now. And yeah, I've got some lovely tattoos, and I found a love for listening and reading books again. So yeah, it's not all bad. It's just the bad stuff's kind of like dragged me down, which I need to stop. We've also got a new addition, so we weren't looking to replace Leo in any way, shape or form. We couldn't do that. He was a massive character, and we'd sort of, JC and I had talked, and we'd said sort of, in the future. So Leo just left us a few months ago now. From what, just yeah. And I was doom scrolling, as you do, on Facebook actually, and I wasn't looking, and this sort of post came up about a little cat who is now causing chaos in our house. So I'll do story time another day, because it's, like I say, it's a long enough video. But she's a rescue, and her story, it's awful. It's a bit of a sad story, but we are sad about Leo, and she's also grieving too, for her kittens. So we're all sad together, I guess was the sort of premise for it, and we were lucky enough to be selected for adoption, and she's with us now. So we've got Penny. Penny is helping us heal and keeping us up at 5 o'clock in the morning screaming, because she just wants a bit of love and a bit of attention, and she didn't get it before. And if we hadn't have been successful, I wouldn't have looked. I wasn't bothered. But everything happens for a reason, and I believe in that. So, on that happy note, I promise it is happy. I'm not going to do reading, watching, listening to, because crikey, it's like I say, it's a long enough video as it is. But I've been working my way through Supernatural again, Team Dean, and we're also watching House, JC and I. I mean, it's been 2.5 years, folks. Let's face it. It's been I've done a lot of comfort watching and listening, and we can chat about that another time. If you want to know about my reading stuff, I'll probably try and update Storygraph, and you can kind of see, wrong way, you can kind of see the kind of things that are going on here in terms of dragons. But yeah, I've not listened to any audiobooks in a while, to be fair. I've not felt like that, but yeah. Anyway, right. Oh, we're done. We are done. So, if you've got to this point and watched me just gradually deteriorate into a wreck, let's do, I was going to say a celebration emoji for getting through it, but let's not. Give me a seasonal emoji. Yeah, whatever you fancy. Like for me, I would probably leave, if I was asked that, like the fallen leaves emoji or something like that, because I am very much looking forward to autumn. I'm not wishing time away at all, but autumn and winter are definitely my favourites over summer. Spring I can tolerate. I like spring. It's moody like me. So yeah, if you want to say hi in a comment, that'd be lovely. If you want to leave me an emoji to know you've got this far, something seasonal. What's your favourite season? Leave me an emoji for that. So anyway, have fun whatever you're going to be doing over the next few weeks, and like I say, I promise I will do a July catch up, because I need to announce a giveaway winner. So yeah, just do what you love with it. I was gonna go not PG then. Right, get yourself together, woman. Right, have fun doing whatever, not whoever, you love, and whether that be crafty, stitchy or not, just have fun, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you next time.